Good morning. We're live. All right. We are addressing an entire population of channel subscribers and hopefully new friends who I have not been able to address myself. We're addressing moms and we're addressing women who are looking for information on Africa, in particular Tanzania and South Africa. Okay, so we're opening up to a whole new perspective today with our special guest, Ashley in Africa, hi, Ashley.
Hi. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, vicarious friends.
Hey, everybody. Ashley's going to do a real introduction of herself in just a second, but I'm going to introduce myself first for anybody who's new. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a year-round house sitter. I'm the creator of House Sitter School, and I help Black women take a sabbatical, move abroad, bop around the globe on a budget, particularly through house sitting, and particularly to embrace more ease in your life. If that sounds good to you, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you turn on notifications, ring that notification bell so that you will be notified when I post a new video or when I go live with an extra special guest like Ashley. Welcome. Okay, so Ashley, hi, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. I have a channel here on YouTube called Ashley in Africa, where I talk about living, moving, and doing business on the continent of Africa. I left the corporate world and really America in 2020 to go pursue a life of my dreams, something that I had always wanted to do, which was live abroad.
Yes.
I came to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, in October of 2020 with myself and my two daughters. At the time, they were 2 years old and 9 years old. They have both celebrated at least one birthday on the continent. We have another one coming up later in the year. And I work with people that are interested in moving their families to the continent, specifically Tanzania and South Africa, and also people that are interested in expanding their business here on the continent, specifically in South Africa and Tanzania. I'm here building a coffee business, supporting people that are interested in making this a lifestyle choice. And also doing the YouTube thing and sharing my journey on YouTube. So I'm so excited to be here.
We're
Thank you
glad
for
that you're
having
here.
me.
I'm very glad that you're here. I don't have a lot of there are a lot of moms in the audience and I can't support them, right? I can't give them the same help that you can. I'm like, oh yeah, y'all can go, right? You can just pack the kids and go. Like, what's the big deal? Right? So it's nice to have a mom who can talk about this. Also, what I would like to lead off talking about is the fact that I um don't have experience traveling and living in Africa, except for South Africa. I have traveled. I spent 2 months in South Africa. And my impression of moving to a country in Africa is that it's going to be a little less about ease, right? And a little more about work. But I think that you've proven me wrong. So am I right in thinking, so you moved to Tanzania in 2020 with the girls, and
Mhm.
am I right in thinking that this is not a place to go for ease, or am I missing out on the ease life in Tanzania?
So okay, so that's a great question, and I'm so happy you talked about that because as a subscriber to your channel, there were so many things that I would hear you say that I would be like, no, I want to share my perspective, and not that you were wrong. I mean, you just haven't had the experience,
That's right.
so you probably can't speak to it in the
That's
same way that I can.
that's right.
And so I'd say 1,000% there is an element of ease that comes with coming to the continent. The easiest one and the most instantaneous one
Yeah.
is the fact that you are coming to a place where you, as a Black woman or Black man, are the majority.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that in itself takes away an entire amount of anxiety that we experience in places like America that we don't even realize we're experiencing.
That's a
So that Yeah, that's the first thing off top that you immediately experience. Now, not to say that there isn't an effect of colonialism
Yeah,
on this continent,
yeah,
because there is
yeah.
for sure. But the blackness is no longer something that makes you different than people, than anyone else.
That is
And there are other
wonderful.
factors that you, yeah.
I'm sorry, we have a delay. That is a wonderful point, right? Being in a black country with black people, where the president is black or the prime minister, where the police officers are black, where the right is a different level of comfort and ease. It's very different from what we experience in the United States. Even if you live in the blackest city in the United States, right? And there are some black cities, you still are not
Correct.
you still are not a part of the majority. You know what I mean? And the people in power still don't view you the same as on their level. So that's a wonderful point.
Purely based on your skin color,
Hmm.
right? So that's the first thing. And I heard you speak about it, I think, in one of your last videos with expat Ghana, the
Uh,
expat Ghana, and how
yeah,
they were retired and then they began working. And
yes.
I'm not sure if this is 1,000% true, but once, if you start sharing your story,
Mhm.
people begin to share their share their aspirations
Yeah.
for what you based on seeing that you've done something that they may have always wanted to do. And so you possibly can develop a business just because you've made that decision, and you now have insights to what it looks like to vacation in a place, what it looks like to do business, what it looks like to be a real estate or business investor.
Mhm.
Because when you get here as an African American, you just are like inundated with things, that the opportunities, right? Like there's so
Yes.
many things that you want to do and you want to contribute and you want to grow, that you're like, I got to figure out how I can make this an enterprising part of my lifestyle now that I've chosen, to come to the continent. So I'll say there are those type of things that, a lot of people that I know that have made this move have gone into that space where we're now working to help people bring their businesses, to
Yes.
help people, you know, grow their businesses, to help people figure out how to invest on the continent.
Yeah.
So that is something that I added to my daily work. But as far as ease, I've never felt more at peace, more relaxed. I've never had the amount of support that I have as a
Mm.
mother here,
Oh,
that allows me to really just be nurturing and caring, and not always have to do all of the
the
housework and the
labor.
domestic work. Yeah, the labor. Like, I'm relieved of that. I've outsourced that, right? Like, I have somebody that supports me 6 days a week, cleaning, cooking, going to the market, watching after my children when I need help.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's
That's
I'm all
ease.
about that. And for the yeah, that's ease. And
That's
the
ease.
first year that I was here, I honestly didn't do anything. I
Okay.
took a full year proper sabbatical to restore my physical and mental health, and to just rest.
That was going to be my question. Did you jump in, hit the ground running? Because you have an entrepreneurial background, right? You were or you may be still, a branding. You were a branding person. I'm not
Mhm.
using the right words, right? But you ran your own business in Atlanta and then moved to Tanzania. So that was going to be my question. How much time did you take without working to really relax and sabbatical? And I'm glad to hear that you did it. Was the
Oh
year,
yes.
was a year off already part of your plan, or did you keep extending it? Like, did you get there and say, wait, I need more time, I need more time?
So that's a great question. So I didn't. when I first started the talk, I talked about exiting corporate America. And so I've been an entrepreneur
Mhm.
in many organizations, but have always have been an entrepreneur since high school. I started my first business in high school.
Ah,
So I'd always kind of gone in between, like, okay, I'm working for a client, they want to bring me on, or there's an opportunity, or these checks ain't coming in like I need them to. I need to get a job. I think a lot of Black women can relate when you start a business. And so for the last few years of my career, I was solely working in corporate. And I actually ended up getting laid off January of 2020. So before really
ah,
everything happened with COVID, I ended up getting laid off from what I thought was a dream job working in tech, because I had always wanted to shift from actual tangible goods to technology and software. And I also knew that that's where, money in the economy was going. But it literally burnt me to a crisp. Like, I was burnt out.
yeah.
So much so that I ended up having to really take a mental wellness break
Okay.
and, do some serious therapy for about a month.
Okay.
Um, Dedicated, like consistent therapy for myself for about 3 to 4 weeks. And then everything with COVID happened. So my girls were at home. I had pretty much gone from, working 50 to 60 hours a week. I was also in school
Mhm.
getting a certification for
Oh,
data science. So that was another 15 hours a week. My youngest was barely two, like had just turned 1 years old.
uh-huh.
So it was a lot. And then at the same time, my relationship was really, really on the fritz. So there was just a ton of things that were going on. So ironically, when I made the decision
Mhm.
to move, I did it very quickly
Okay.
because everything was shut down. So there
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of things, going on. It was a really easy choice to make
Mhm.
in that moment, because people were so isolated. So I was like, if we're going to be isolated, we need to be isolated on somebody's beach. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
Yes, indeed.
So I didn't realize how much healing I needed to do
Yeah.
because I never really set a date. I just knew that I had enough resources to give myself at least a year. That's what I kept saying.
Oh,
I'll be
okay.
ready to go back to work. I'll be ready to go back to work.
Uh-huh.
And I honestly didn't really work for like 2 years.
Okay. Good.
Like, it was a little bit here and there. Like, I knew, like, all right, you're going to have to do something. So you need to start putting some things in motion.
Mhm.
But when I really like set focus on getting some things done, about 2 years.
Good. Good.
Best 2 years of my life.
I know you ain't got to tell me.
I know I don't.
We
I
know.
know.
We know. So, how did you choose Tanzania as the spot?
So Tanzania was very kismet choice. Honestly, at the time, most countries had shut down
Mhm.
from American visitors.
Uh,
Tanzania was one of the only countries in the world that was allowing in tourists at the
good.
time.
Okay.
And my girlfriend, who had worked with in Atlanta, super dope creative, was documenting her journey
Mhm.
on Instagram. And I originally planned on going to Jamaica. Like, Jamaica was a very easy lift because I had been there so many times. I had friends and like friends turned family there.
Uh-huh.
But when I started calculating what things were going to cost, it was pretty expensive or comparable to what I was already spending.
Mhm.
And that was just based on the things that I wanted. I wanted to be on the ocean. I
Mhm.
needed something that was service. Like, I was looking for that type of support. And so she actually was in Jamaica, left Jamaica, came to Tanzania with a
Oh,
goal of going to Ghana, but she didn't go to Ghana because the borders were closed. And
okay.
so she was just sharing her journey. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
beautiful. But not only is it beautiful, she's doing it. She's married and has a son.
Okay.
And we had a conversation, and she hadn't really even done a lot of traveling prior to
Ah,
this. So there was nowhere that I had traveled, and I've been to about 15 countries.
Hmm.
There was nowhere that I had been where I felt like, oh, I can't live here.
Yeah.
So I was pretty confident. I
Hmm.
was pretty confident that like I can do it. Like
Yeah.
I think I could do it. And in worst case if scenario, like I can always come back.
Go back home. That's
Um,
right.
so Tanzania, it was open. I did my research also, like checked out the country,
Yeah.
one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, period. Like one of the leaders in economic growth in East
Mm.
Africa.
Yeah.
The leadership was very Pan African. So there were a lot of things that
Mm.
made it appealing from like an economic standpoint, which for me, like that's my love, or like my nerd geek out stuff is economics. Um, so yeah, so all of those things was why we chose Tanzania.
Ashley, I'm glad that you did. So, a lot of women were planning their sabbatical and then COVID happened and then they just didn't go. So, I'm glad that you were able to find a place that still fit and a place that would still work for you and not just put it off and keep working. Anybody here in the chat have that happen to them? I, I think quite a few women were planning some time off and then borders closed and they just decided, you know what? I'll stay here. I'll keep working. I'll put this off until later. Did you ever consider that? You were laid off, but did you ever consider not going now and waiting until things changed, got better? Because we didn't know how long
No,
it was going to take. And at the time, this was a new thing, you know.
right. Well, so initially, like not being able to travel, like when they said Americans cannot travel, like for me, that was a like blaring alarm.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't like this. I don't like feeling trapped.
Yeah.
And I was actually, my house was down the street from a clinic, a
Okay.
COVID test. And every day I was seeing that line grow and grow and grow and grow and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And it was giving me just crazy anxiety.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, we didn't know like what was going on. So I made my decision in July and I left in October.
Mm.
And I also knew that if I did, and communicating with my friend, I was asking her, so like, what's going on? The late Dr. John Magufuli, who was the president when we arrived, he was a
Mm-hmm.
big, uh, he was adversarial in the conversation about COVID and all of the things that were happening. And so he did receive a lot of really strong pushback and from that decision. But when I was speaking to my friend, she was saying like, no, there's no lockdowns here. Everything is open.
Okay.
Business is as usual. There's nothing like that. Schools are open. Kids are connecting at playgrounds. So when I heard her share with me how things were going here versus what was happening in America, I was like, no, we
Gone.
going like
I'm gone.
this is the time. Yeah, like I'm gone. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting adequate sunlight. I'm
Yeah.
gonna make sure that I'm eating, having now access to fresh fruits and vegetables regularly, affordably. Yeah, so I realized like, okay, this is something that's going to change the trajectory of lifestyle in America. Um, yeah, I need to make a decision.
And
Like
your girls were two and a middle schooler, right? Two and
2 and 9
oh, nine.
at the
Okay.
time.
And so your 9-year-old was in school on the internet already, and there was no major before COVID. It used to be like, but what about the kids? I can't go. Kids have to go to school. Now the 9-year-old is on
Yeah,
computer and school is wherever she is. Is she still in an American school in Tanzania on the computer?
no,
Oh,
she's enrolled here in school in an international school. Both of them are.
good. How do you like it?
Yeah.
Can you give us some sort of comparison education wise? Is it too soon to tell or?
Absolutely. No, 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 because they started going. I mean, we got here in October. I enrolled them in school in like November, like two,
Ah,
3 weeks. They were
okay.
in school. Yeah, very quickly. There are about three major international schools that I was aware of. One of them, super expensive
Mhm,
by all the embassies,
mhm,
and it was just a little far out. The other one is mostly Muslim.
mhm.
Like, I don't really know how to
Yeah.
categorize it, but it's like the majority of the students and families that go there are Muslim.
Okay.
And then the one that they're at was the newest of the three. Um, but it was affordable and,
Mhm.
it seemed okay. And plus, they were able to have both of my girls there. So that was very convenient for me to be able to send the toddler and the middle schooler to the same school.
So the
So
top.
um, I'd say just environment, so like my daughter, she went to one of the top, like one of the most in demand charter schools in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
I was very involved with like the administration, the teachers. I was on the PTA, I was on advisory board,
Wait.
all of the things.
Uh-huh.
Um, and my daughter was very smart, is very smart,
Mhm,
but she was also being bullied a lot,
mhm,
and all black school, right? Like,
mhm.
weird. Um, Coming here, she was popular, right? Like, she was
Uh-huh.
the most popular kid in school now because of her complexion, because of her accent,
Uh-huh.
um, because of how great she is in school. She tested up. So she was able to, based on her writing and her math, she was able to skip a grade.
Ooh.
I don't think that has anything to do with the difference in education, because honestly, like, she they basically just saw her leadership skills and were like, okay, she can get bumped up to
Mhm.
another grade.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's so many things, just like the intention, the way that they teach outside and inside at the same time. It is an international school, so they
Mhm.
are learning Western, a lot of Western stuff,
Yeah.
which I make sure now, like after COVID, I think a lot of moms took a perspective on like, wow, um, teachers are doing a lot, and like, this is what my kids are learning. Like, maybe I need to step up and I need to supplement that learning. So
Uh,
we did a lot of Tanzanian history. I myself, have an interest in investing, so I've taught her about cryptocurrency and stocks. So I'm now a lot more intentional about supplementing her education
yeah.
as well. But I will say that I think because the schools are not free for the most part,
Mhm.
if nothing, they're very inexpensive, right? So like, it might cost, let's just say, for example, $5 a month to go to school, but you're going to pay something. That's not how much we pay for international school.
No, the public.
But
That's the
I
public school.
think right, but the appreciation for education and the way that the teachers are treated, like, there's just a different level of respect and esteem for education
Mm.
here than there is, in the US. The children don't run the school. Like, there
Yeah.
are no TikTok teacher slap a teacher contest. Like, that's not going down.
Yeah.
So just like some of the things that are tolerated, and then one of the things I talk about a lot, just the whole like active shooter drill,
Yeah.
like that is a real thing that happens in
Yeah.
public, private charter schools all over the US. Like, we not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not happening.
Mhm.
So those are some of like the biggest differences
Yeah.
that I noticed. But I honestly put most after having a lot of conversation with people all over the continent,
Uh-huh.
just the way that I look at education system, it's I'd say more premium
Mhm.
than what we're doing in the US.
Good. All right. So we've got a lot of conversation going on in the chat. So hello, friends in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't do our official good mornings this morning, but good morning, everyone. Okay. Good morning, friends. All right. So we're talking about we started off, if you weren't here in the very beginning, we started off talking about how I have an opinion, or had a view, that moving to Africa, countries in Africa, was moving away from ease a little bit. And so we're talking, so I wanted to talk to Ashley about ease and her life in Tanzania with her daughters. So we broke down a couple of different ways that you are experiencing more ease in your life there than you would have in the United States. First of all, by being the majority, right? Being a Black person in a Black country automatically by default gives you some ease, some peace, right? Some peace. But
Yes.
also getting support, which we're going to dig into, right? Having the ability to get support as a mom instead of being the mom who does all of the things is another way that Ashley's talked about embracing ease. And then choosing entrepreneurship. And then also she talked about healing, right? Healing for the first year or so that she went to Tanzania. So let's talk about the support. Okay. Let's talk
Yes.
about
Yes.
let's talk about how what you have or and had in Tanzania that you did not have in Atlanta, that makes your life
Mhm.
more easy, right? That makes things easier for you in daily, right, everyday life.
Everyday life. Yes. So, um, the first thing is just the culture. And I will say that this is probably similar to the continent. Like African culture is more of a unity, a collective, a community, a village experience
Yeah.
versus America, which is very individualistic. So when people are thinking of their neighbor, like they're really thinking of their neighbor
Yeah.
as themselves or as their family. So when we go to a restaurant, right? Like there's a lot of times there's restaurants where there's playgrounds where the kids can just go and play. One of the things that I remember always, like my youngest daughter running around playing in the sands at the beach, and then it was time to eat.
Uh-huh.
And instead of me having to go take her to the bathroom, wash her, the waitress grabs her, pulls her over, and washes her hands, with a bucket of water and soap, just nicely. Wife
Yeah.
washes her face,
Yeah.
everything. Like I didn't have to ask her for her help. She saw that she needed to get ready for dinner, and she helped me.
Yeah.
Um, with no question. Like, and I was just moved by that because it just isn't something that we're used to
Mhm.
in America. And then, like also just people, my daughter, she's 3. She's super cute, outgoing. Like people want to hold her, they want to pick her up, they want to like laugh with her.
Uh-huh.
And you don't have to be worried about whether somebody is being weird,
Mhm.
or is going to do something inappropriate.
Mhm.
Like I'm not just going to like let
Right.
them go with a stranger, but I don't have
Yeah.
to like have this like weirdness about somebody engaging with my children
Mhm.
because it is a culturally common thing to do.
Yes. So
So that's just the first thing. Go ahead.
yeah, so we're talking real community. I've seen that in a few places, and it's striking, right? It's striking when you see
Hmm.
people who default to we instead of I and me and mine, right? We are in this thing together.
Yes.
You get on a bus. I have a responsibility to everybody else on this bus to make sure that whatever, right? Make sure that the child is okay. The child can rip and run. It is a
Yeah.
different mentality. In the United States, it's common for people to ask, is such and such a place kid friendly, right? Is this restaurant
Exactly.
kid friendly? Is this event kid friendly? They don't ask that place in other places where community comes first because kids are part of the community. They're part of every family.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, it's for us, it's for kids. It's a really
Exactly.
striking difference. I noticed it first, I think, in the Philippines. It's the first place where I really noticed like everybody is for everyone. You don't go out here on your own and struggle. You go out here and someone stops you and helps you and asks and does the thing for you. People don't just sit around and watch you, trying to juggle a whole bunch of stuff. So that is something that you recognized in terms of the like being out in the community. Does that carry
Yes.
over to inside of the household, like inside of your home?
Yes. So When we first arrived here in October, we stayed at a hotel for about a week. I was in communication with somebody who was a real estate agent. So I had already pretty much looked at my house virtually, and, was able to go right into my house a week after being in the hotel. And so at the hotel, we met a woman who had been at the hotel for almost 20 years. And she told us, like, oh, I have a sister who's looking
Mhm.
for work. Like, she can cook, she can clean, and I'll vouch for her. I've worked here for 20 years. If anything happens, you can come to my job. Um, and and she has been fantastic. So she was a referral based on a lady that we had met that had been taking care of us at the restaurant every morning for breakfast.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's her blood sister, because here you call everyone your sister or your brother, or your auntie or your uncle. Like, even if you just meet them the same day, that's how you address them.
Okay.
But she's been fantastic, and she comes to our home 6 days a week. She cooks, she cleans every day,
Mm.
does my laundry, irons my laundry.
Uh, was was that new for you, or were you getting some sort of support in Atlanta? Were you paying someone to do some? No, no.
I mean, I was doing okay in Atlanta. I was doing well. Honestly, like, I had reached a level of success that most people were like, I was making six figures,
Uh-huh.
driving a really, really nice car.
Yeah.
Um, but I was paying for, I maybe could afford to pay for someone to clean twice a month. That
Uh-huh.
was like 150, 175. I mean, really, I was negotiating with her to get it to 150.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that was every 2 weeks. And I used to love coming home after. It was the best 150 I would ever spend.
Right.
But that was about it. I mean, you know, after my daughter was born, I had then become like familiar with ordering groceries. So
Mhm.
that was something I didn't do.
Mhm.
I would have my dry cleaning picked up from
Okay.
my house,
Okay.
but that was about the majority of things that I had been able to outsource and could afford. At one point, when I was trying to lose my baby weight, I had outsourced some cooking, like a
Okay.
chef,
Okay.
just so I could, get it right back.
Yeah.
But and all of those things, like, I had to budget accordingly. For
Mhm.
her, I've never had this amount of support. She makes, when I tell people, Tanzanians, how much I pay her, they're like, "You're too generous."
Mhm.
And she makes less than $200 a month.
Okay.
Um, so I had never had that luxury ever. Like, no.
Hey,
And it
Janice.
is one of the best things ever. Like, if I'm, yeah, no, we making sure she gets paid.
Okay. So,
It's
so I
definitely, yeah.
want to reiterate. She's doing your cleaning. She's doing the cooking. Is she also like a nanny? Does she do nanny work as well?
Hmm. Yep.
All right. So there we go. Okay. So there we go. All right. Yeah, is there some sort of expectation that a woman who can afford someone to help her has someone to help her, right? Is that kind of the default in Tanzania? Whereas in the United
Absolutely.
States, there's like the default setting is no, you do everything yourself.
No, the default is that you have someone in your home. Some people call them dada, some people call them house girls.
Uh-huh.
Um, at one point, my neighbors, they were Kenyan. They no longer live there now, but the mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she had two house girls. Both of them lived there. So, like, yeah, I mean, it's the default. Even the most modest income earner, who's a mother, has somebody there with them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is cultural ease, right? So when we first started talking out, you talked about the cultural differences. This is a cultural difference. This is never going to be the default in the United States, right? It's not. You're always going to be. I'm sorry, moms. You are going to be shamed for having someone help you. Did you see the post? I think I saw it on Twitter where she's a woman who was a mom, maybe in her early 30s, I'm guessing, had a nighttime, she called her a nighttime doula. She had a woman come in at night to
Mm.
take care of her baby while when the baby woke up in the middle of the night so that she could sleep through the night. Right. And people were up in arms that she got to get a good night's sleep. This is a woman who ran her own business, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. It's never going to be the default here.
No, it's not. I mean, I've had my friends like slight shade me
Yeah.
and say things like, "Well, I'm a hands-on mom," and I'm like, "So am I." It's like, but like, don't try to shame me because you're mad that
Mhm.
you are stressed to the max and you have to cook dinner still and do laundry and look at the pile of clothes that you haven't folded in 5 weeks because she was me, but I am no longer
That's right.
she,
That's right.
because I just found a different way. Even when I visited the US,
Mhm.
like that was one of the things that I was like, I can never come back here just because I
Yeah.
can't afford it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just can't afford that level of support.
Mm-mm.
I have some friends that have, what do they call them? They're like through an agency, au
Au pair.
pairs,
Uh-huh.
right? And they have to make like typically minimum wage, not even minimum wage. They typically make $60,000 a year base,
Uh-huh.
but they don't clean,
No.
they don't cook. They have to get off, certain amount of days. I think they only can work 40 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So you said that this gives you the opportunity to care for your girls more as opposed to just
Exactly.
working for them, laboring for them. Do you feel a difference in your
Exactly.
relationship with them when you don't have to begrudgingly make dinner every day, right? Like I
Yeah.
begrudge, I hate making dinner my own self, right? I can't imagine like every day I have to figure these all I have to work, right? I have to be a nice person. I have to be a good mom, and then I have to cook and clean. Anyway. So, um,
Mhm.
do you see a difference in your relationship with the girls now that you don't have to do the
One,
things that you resent? We all resent doing that stuff.
yeah. Yes, 1000%. Because I can just, chill out with them.
Mhm.
Like my weekends aren't spent cleaning, the bathrooms or
Uh,
doing laundry. Like our weekends can be spent at home if we want to chill at home,
yeah,
or we can, go to a friend's house, or we can go to the beach,
yeah.
or, we can go to a little play area. Um, and just taking away like that added support
Mhm.
helps to ease some of the other things like that I think we tell ourselves a
Yeah.
lot is like we're not worthy of help or we're not worthy of this level of support. Well, my mama did it. My mama worked 4 or 5 jobs and put food on the table. So
Yeah.
if I so can I, but in reality, mom's dealing with health issues,
Mhm.
relationship issues,
Uh-huh.
internal self worth issues
Uh-huh.
that we end up getting passed down. And we don't recognize it until, sometimes it can be too late until we pass it on to our children. So it's given me an opportunity to just really be intentional about our relationship
Yeah.
and the time that we do spend together, the
Yeah.
things that I say to them, the things that we watch together. Yeah, it's been a game changer in allowing me to really be a stronger mom.
I'm glad that you're showing this. So I think what your girlfriends might be, not to try to, I do want to try to make peace with your
Oh, I know.
girlfriends. I think what they're envisioning, right, is you living your life and your girls at home with the nanny, right? But this is not what it looks like. It looks like y'all living your life together. I think that they have the 90210 version in their mind, and they need to see other ways that moms get support and still have a relationship with their kids, right? I think that people think
Oh
it's either
yeah.
one or the other. Either you do all the labor or you don't have a relationship with your kids. But there's no that's not there's those are not the only two choices. I
No, that is exactly right.
yeah.
But also, so even in the cultural differences from education,
Uh,
um, my oldest daughter, she wants to go to boarding school so bad.
oh,
Like she wants to go. She's watching YouTube videos. She's trying to go.
she's
Well, her
campaigning.
school, yeah, her school has boarding, and so some of her
Okay.
classmates board, and
Oh,
it's a very common thing
yeah,
in many African
yeah,
countries. Not so obviously certain schools you got to vet, but it's a very common cultural practice. And when we were back in the States, and she was telling people that, they were like, family friends, they were like, "Ugh, people who go to boarding school don't have parents who love them, but it goes to this stigma that is
hmm
just like
hmm
the yeah, it's just the stigma.
yes,
It's just what we don't understand or what we haven't seen displayed in a positive light,
hmm
we think is negative.
yeah,
And so they really gonna be mad because she gonna be in boarding school and I'm gonna be doing I do at least 4 vacations alone a year. I'm gonna probably pop in
yes,
another one.
yes,
But to a lot of people in the comments are saying like that I can now also grow my businesses. I can
yeah,
also now create more impact in the community
that's right.
because I have somebody who isn't telling me if you're late, I'm going to charge you extra. Like, no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you have
we
the
do have to normalize
the energy to do more, or like do less, right? You also have the energy to do less. If you wanted to use this extra time to just take naps, to just draw drawings, even if
that.
you can't draw, you can do that too. It doesn't have to be about building a business. The extra time that you buy, I believe in buying time, right? People say you have the same 24 hours in a day that Beyonce has, but Beyonce buys time from other people, right? I believe in buying time,
Hmm.
and you can buy it just to do nothing if you wish. If you wish to buy time to hammock, and which I love hammocking, right? Then that's fine too. I'm fine with that. I want to address the
Yeah.
I want to address you talked about your oldest daughter being treated well because of her color. And I want to acknowledge that because I think people are going to be surprised by what you mean by that, because I've seen your oldest daughter's pictures and she looks like me. So what do
Hmm.
you mean by she is treated differently because of her color in Tanzania?
Well, yeah, because so a lot of times she would get like the kids would be like, well, you don't look like your mom, like you look different than your mom. And my youngest daughter is a little lighter than me.
Uh-huh.
So she always kind of felt, I think, just a little isolated. And then colorism in the US, and
Yeah,
not saying it's not a thing here, because it is different though.
yeah,
It is very different, but her complexion and also just like her whole body, her whole like stature. She's taller than most kids.
yeah,
She just has like a different calmness, where she would get picked on for not being funny or not being the girl who could dance or twerk,
uh-huh.
or the girl who wore braids down to her butt. Like she was just a little girl.
Yes.
Here, she like, she fits in. And as far as her skin, I mean, people look like her,
Hmm.
but she also, I think, just has this like a different radiance in her skin,
Hmm.
when we're here on the
Yeah,
continent.
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. She probably could explain it
That
better
glow.
or give you quotes on what the kids have actually said about her
uh,
skin. Or like compared her to certain like movie stars here, like, oh, you look like this person.
that,
So
yeah,
that's what I mean, is where she's really adored,
yeah.
um, by like, the teachers and her classmates and
Yeah,
her friends.
the color. So when you said it, people were like, "Oh, because colorism is everywhere," but it's different, right? So it's different. So
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
it's not. Yeah. So your daughter, who was picked on in the United States, is adored in Tanzania, and it's not because she's
Hmm.
light lighter than you. It's not that daughter. It's the daughter who's
Right,
my color, right? Yeah. So
right, exactly.
she's picked up the glow that we get when we leave the US, right? The glow that people always comment that we have. Your 9-year-old has picked that glow up as well. Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. Yes. Yeah. Abba
my
says
little
yes
one
to
is in
little
the
girls
background
looking and
now.
acting like little girls. Yeah, that's okay. If you need to step out for a second, that's okay. We can, okay. It's all right. We know. We know.
My dada is here. My dada's
Mm.
here. She cooks for them. She made them popcorn. They have a movie. So they're
Oh,
fine.
that's so cute. Oh, that's good.
They're fine.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I love to see it. So I'm glad that they are also thriving, right? This is a move that you made, but it is a move that impacts the whole family, and so I'm glad to see that they are thriving in this new environment as well. Okay, so we've
Yeah.
talked.
One of the things that I had to learn, uh, I had to unlearn and relearn was this concept of sacrifice as a mother. Like, I think we're taught because we see our mothers sacrifice, and our mothers tell us, I sacrifice everything for you, you know? And that leaves a woman, because having done that, right, like that leaves you with levels of resentment, anxiety, stress, depression. When I started to prioritize my needs and say, this is something I want to do because I've always wanted to do it, like I saw how they thrive just based on that action.
Mhm.
Yes, I thought of them. Of course, I thought of them, like this, when I thought about violence and I thought about
Right.
kidnapping and I thought about all of the things that are happening to Black children in America.
Hmm.
Of course, they were considered, but I really made the decision, especially that year slash 2 years that it took me to heal
Hmm.
and really like relax and chill out, like
Hmm.
doing those things for me
Yeah.
has allowed me to be a better, more productive, and not even productive, stronger mother, more loving mother. And they, in turn, are more loving and just happier children.
Yeah. I think that the
Yeah.
sacrifices that people make, that moms make, only teaches your kids, especially your daughters, that they also need to make these sacrifices, right? That you need to give up your happiness for the good of others, or you need to, right? I think that that's the lesson in the sacrifice. And so maybe not sacrificing teaches them that, hey, you are worth this. When you get older, when you're an adult, these are the just types of decisions that I want you to make as well. I think it's important for them to see you putting you, making you a priority, so that she will then know to make herself a priority. I don't know that there's any other way that a
Right.
woman can learn to be a priority in her own life, except that she
Right.
sees women doing that themselves.
Right, exactly. And this isn't, we all know or have that friend or that cousin who is never with her children, right?
Yeah.
And is always going out and is going to have that new outfit or that new hairdo, and her children may, so that's not what I'm speaking
No,
about,
no.
because yes, there is a level of, you know, I do shop for my children more than I shop for me because
Yeah.
I don't really need, like, I make sure I'm healthy and I keep my figure so I don't have to buy more clothes outside of what I have, but they need things, so I make sure that they have what they need. But
Hmm.
to your point, I didn't see my mom and really invest in herself in a way, like herself,
Right.
trust herself enough. So I learned to maybe not always trust myself, or let people tell me, like, oh, well, no, maybe do this, or this is what you should do. One of the unlearnings that
Mm.
was also like, kids need stability. And then I had to learn, like, no, they need a stable
Yes.
person in their
Yeah.
life,
Yeah.
but does not necessarily need to be in one place forever
Yeah.
to be healthy, like productive humans, loving
Yes.
humans.
I
So,
I heard a
yeah.
mom, I think it might have been, I can't remember who it was. I heard a mom, I think it was Christina, who we interviewed a couple years ago, said, I'm the stability, right? Kids need stability. I'm the parent. I'm the stability. The house is not a house. I mean, a house is not stability. A house is a house, right? If we move to another house, they still have me. I'm the stability. That changed my whole idea. I don't even have children. That changed my whole idea on the whole, moving with children and bopping around. Plenty of moms thriving, bopping around from place to place, like Charisma. Hey, right? The parent is the stability. The parent or parents,
Hmm.
the family is the stability, not the location. I love that lesson. I learned that lesson myself. Ebony, hey, Ebony says, as a Black mother, it's revolutionary to make a choice that is centered around you. Of course, instinctively, we won't sacrifice our kids in the process, but making me a priority feels revolutionary. 100%.
It
Absolutely
is.
right. Absolutely
Mhm.
right.
It is.
I love to see it. I love to see it. Okay, so we've talked about the support within the house. Let's talk about the business. So let's talk about you seeing needs in Tanzania and creating what you think needed to be done, right? Creating a business. So this is I'm going to give another disclaimer, okay? So this is the thing that make Ashley already addressed it very well. This is the thing that makes me nervous about Black women moving to Africa, countries in Africa, because Black women seem to move to countries in Africa and then go to work. Ashley told us she took a year where she didn't work, and basically practically 2 years, right, where she didn't work. I want all of us to embrace some time where we do not work. So moving to a country in Africa, right, and seeing needs and having some entrepreneurial spirit rise up in you or rekindle or whatever in you is likely. I hope first that you will take some time and do nothing. I mean that. Take some time and do as little as possible. Ashley did that. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this because it's common. It's a common thread. A lot of women who are moving to, I know women who have gone to Ghana, Rwanda in particular, Tanzania, Kenya, went there and now are running a business or multiple businesses. So let's talk about the business stuff. How did the first, you went there without the idea to start a business. So how did you become an entrepreneur in Tanzania?
So I knew that there were, like, I did watch videos on what are some of the things that that you can do
Uh-huh.
abroad. But again, like, I wasn't really in that space. But from an economic perspective, growing GDPs and like a talent workforce that is like one of the youngest in the world. Like, I
Hmm.
knew all of those things represented good and growing and developing economies.
Okay.
So I actually was on a vacation with another family, the family that really like motivated us to move out here. We went to a region in Kilimanjaro Mountain called Marangu, and I went and took a tour to the Chaga caves. The Chaga is a tribe here in Tanzania
Okay.
that are located mostly up by the Mount Kilimanjaro and the regions
Uh-huh.
around that mountain. And so nobody else wanted to go to that tour, so I went by myself with our house guide.
Mhm.
And basically on the way there, I saw some berries on a bush, and he was like, "Oh, that's coffee."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Really?" Like, I've never seen coffee grow. Um, for about 6 years of my life, maybe more, probably more, I worked in beverage. So one of the bigger companies that
Ah,
I worked for was Red Bull energy
okay.
drink,
Okay.
and coffee was our biggest competitor. So I understood the consumption trends of coffee and just how huge of an industry it was. And then being here, I learned about what the farmers endure to be able to, sell their coffee or trade their coffee. And it was a very dynamic story. So, really, the reason why I started the business was because I saw this group of women coffee farmers that needed more support to sell their coffee crop.
Yes.
And that was really the reason why I started it, because I was like, I just want to help them. Like, how can I help them increase their revenue?
Uh-huh.
And that was really, that was how it began. And then I'd gone to a couple of events here in Tanzania where they talked about coffee investment. I already understood the consumption trends. I know how much coffee Westerners are drinking.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, agriculture is really the future of business and tech. Agri-tech is a whole nother thing. Let me figure this out, right? Like, I don't know a lot about coffee, but I've done a couple businesses. I've sold a couple of businesses.
Mhm.
Like, I've never, I have not yet gotten to a point where my business was doing $1 million a year, but like, I get a little bit, I can understand. business. So like, let's try it.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can really do this. And so yeah, that's what we're doing. It was inspired, I want to say, in January of 2021. And I've been figuring it out, from working with local farmers to producers, and just like, you know not outsourcing, but going through an entire supply chain versus trying to do it myself. I've got all my licenses. So yeah, it's really been a process of learning. But my goal is really to focus on intercontinental trade.
Yes.
So trading on the continent.
Mhm.
So I have a license to export coffee, fruits, and vegetables. And, we're just looking for customers now and just, yeah, and building the brand and, yeah, figuring it out. So that was actually my entrance into South Africa, because I knew South Africa had a similar consumption pattern to that of America.
Yeah.
So at the very least, I could go, like, South Africans could be a great client to
Yes.
find. So that was how I then ended up setting up shop in South Africa.
All right. And this is Anasa Coffee.
Yeah, so funny story.
Okay.
It is. That was the original name.
Oh.
Anasa in Swahili means luxury,
Oh.
but culturally, luxury is not necessarily something that is very celebrated.
Okay.
So as after about a year of doing business and like talking to people, some people would ask me, "So what do you mean this Anasa coffee?" And I'm like, "Luxury." They're like, "It means these things like indulgence and, just sexual
Uh,
pleasures, like things that aren't necessarily positive." So I got that. That's just part of doing business in a different culture.
uh-huh.
So I've actually renamed the business, and we're going through a rebrand now.
Okay.
Same product, just a different name.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. I see car brands, like I was in the Caribbean. I can't remember what the car brand name the car name was, but it was like a Volkswagen something, or I don't know. But the name of it, I was like, "Wait, why would you name a car that?" And it's because somebody didn't realize that that car was going to get shipped to a place where it means something totally different. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
That's good. So your coffee brand is, you're looking to do business with businesses in and around the continent of Africa. So you're not looking necessarily for us to go and buy your coffee. That is not how we can support your coffee brand, but we could support it by. Is there a way?
So not my sisters on the continent. Well, I have some videos on my channel about really the storytelling
Okay.
aspect. It's really only one. I have a few others. I just didn't put them up there once we decided to change the name.
Uh huh.
Um, but yeah, we're gonna stay. Sorry, I'm just looking out my window and there's a cat on the roof. These cats are like, they're a different type of cat in Tanzania. They're a different type of cat. Those are stories for other days. But um, for now, no, there isn't anything we can
Okay.
do in the West. I did attempt to go there and set up importing, but I just didn't really want to be bothered
Okay. That's
with
fine. So we will subscribe to your YouTube.
USDA and all of that.
That's fine.
Yes,
We'll subscribe to your
you should
YouTube channel,
subscribe.
which is Ashley in Africa, Africa with a K. The link is here in the description. I
Yes.
mean, here on the thing in the chat, and it's in the description. So if you're watching the replay, hello, friends from the future. It's the link to Ashley's channel is there. So subscribe to her channel. Also, watch some videos. Okay, that is how you can support Ashley and her
Yes.
businesses. Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank
Ashley in
you,
Africa with a
ladies.
K.
Yes.
All right. So if someone is moving or is spending some time in Tanzania, let's say, and comes up with an idea like you did for a business, how difficult is it for a foreigner to start a business in Tanzania?
So it's a little bit different. I won't say that it's easy
Mhm.
because that would be the wrong word, but I will say, um, I feel like in America, a lot of times there can be a lot of different, and when I say cats, on it's just like a regular house cat, but they cats in the house. They're not in the house in Tanzania. They're out and they're the community's cat,
Uh-huh.
and they're just a different level of cat. I'm sorry, I saw somebody in the comments like they're not lions, they're not tired, they're not wild cats. They're just regular house
They're just
cats. They're
cats.
just different though. A little different. Um, I forgot what we were talking
How hard
about.
is it to start a business?
Oh, to start a business.
Uh-huh.
So I think maybe a little less red tape, but you do have to partner. You do have to partner with a Tanzanian,
Ah,
um, if you are bringing in less than a certain amount of capital.
okay.
So there is a capital threshold. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I didn't have that, um, to basically commit to investment.
Mm,
But pretty
okay.
it's not too hard to find an attorney to support you in that process. I just recommend spending some time, with Tanzanians, however that looks, whether that's, business events, networking events, making friends, being introduced to people through other people. Because my business partner is a friend of my landlord who is Tanzanian, and
Okay.
you know, he helped me with another business deal. And from there, we began a relationship, to talk about how he could support me in like
Oh,
starting a business. So it's not difficult. It's just a different process
so
than you
extra.
would in the US.
Okay. Extra step.
Similar as far as like the things that you would need, probably harder just because of the language barrier. But that's where having a Tanzanian on your side in your business
Mhm.
is very helpful.
Okay. So you've been meeting people when you need them just by letting people out in the world know that you need this help? Is that a way that someone can network and make connections in Tanzania, get there, talk to people, tell people what you're looking to do and get recommended other people to connect with?
So you talk about this a lot, just finding WhatsApp groups, and Facebook communities. A lot of times those can be very, like heavily inundated with expats. Some expats will be willing to help you and share their process.
Ah,
Ironically, not all, but I do recommend like what I did when I, got with my attorney. I asked her like, where are some of the places I need to be?
yes.
Who are some of the people I need to talk to?
Mhm.
A default are the chambers of commerce, in the city or the country where you are.
Mhm.
Some of the more developed countries like a Kenya or Ghana or Nigeria, South Africa, a lot of times they have, an American chamber of commerce for the country that you're in.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, those are options. And then, you can look on Instagram. Like I just attended an event this week, and it was a huge, young entrepreneurs event that I found on Instagram,
Okay.
um, at a bigger hotel, really notable hotel,
Okay.
something that I probably wouldn't do in my, career if I were in Atlanta. But because I'm coming to a new country and I have to reestablish, like going to these type of events. So
Good.
yeah, like Instagram is really helpful
Okay.
for, especially for young professionals. And just defaulting to not an embassy, but a chamber of commerce.
Okay. That's good. A couple of things. First, I see Io and Bob, you guys are making a love connection. Do you guys want to take this off of
Oh,
the chat? Okay. Find a way to communicate off of the chat so we can keep the chat focused on the conversation. And someone else asked me to put someone else out, but I didn't see anything. And on this channel, so we may have some new people. On this channel, we speak to Black women with loving kindness. And if you cannot do that, you cannot stay. Okay, but I haven't seen anything out of pocket. Okay, but if you want to have a conversation separate from this channel, communicate with each other off of the out of the chat. Thanks, friends. Okay, all right. So, Angela, what percentage? Angela asks, what percentage of people in Tanzania are English speakers? Is language a barrier to business and life and things?
So I don't know the actual percentage. I will say it's not a lot. It's not a lot.
Okay.
Like most people don't speak English. I would say the majority don't.
Okay.
But depending on where you are, like I live in a suburb. I don't live in a general like area where a lot of expats live. So
Uh-huh.
there are a lot less people that speak English
Uh-huh.
here in this area. I would consider myself like I can speak. I'm not fluent,
Uh-huh.
but I can speak. And so that's really important to me to just be able to learn the language. Um, I say, at this point, I can get around a restaurant. Like I can pretty much have a conversation at a restaurant, a
Yes.
market, or with a taxi driver or a boda boda or bajaji driver. That's like the extent of my Swahili.
Okay.
But most now when you start doing business and you get to working with attorneys or
Yeah.
bankers, like those folks are going to speak English.
Oh, okay.
The people in the investment office, most of the time, they're going to speak English. But one of the things here in Tanzania, the benefit of my business partner working with them is sometimes
Mhm.
they can move things a little bit faster
Okay.
because they might know somebody or they might give you a little, something to like incentivize you to move a little bit faster. So I wouldn't say, I would say that for women and men that are older, sometimes they tend to get a little more frustrated with the language barrier
Uh,
because they feel like I'm just not gonna do it. Like I'm just not interested.
mm,
So that, does depend on your comfort level with like attempting to try
yeah.
a different language. But I will say Swahili is spoken the way it's spelled. So it's very, when you're using Google Translate, you pronounce it the way it's read.
Uh,
So I won't say that it's easy,
yeah.
but it's
It's
not,
not. It's
it's
not
not
like. Yeah. It's not like trying to communicate in Vietnamese, right?
correct. Right. It's not Mandarin. It's
Mm-mm.
not, you know,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Thank you, Angela, for asking that question. Okay. So I see questions about cost of living and dating. So hopefully we can get both of these in. We're over an hour, but hopefully we can get both of these in. So let's move into cost of living. So we've talked about you running a
Yeah.
business now. We've talked about you taking a significant amount of time where you didn't work while you're in Tanzania. How does it compare to Atlanta? Yeah, I guess that's the best way to ask that. Or do you want to,
In
or
from a
just,
cost of
or
living.
yeah, or the next chapter just was like, what is your budget per month? Whichever you feel like answering.
Yeah. So I actually have a video on my channel called How I Live in Luxury for 2,500 a month in Tanzania. And that is, what I'm saying, pretty much it, how I live in luxury, because this is not struggle life for me. So I'm living to a certain standard that I enjoy. Like, we live in a 4 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 3 bathroom house with a separate guest house. I pay, I think, a little under 550 a month.
No.
Um, yes.
Let me get my notebook out.
Yes. Now again, I'm in a suburb,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm in a suburb of Dar es Salaam, so I'm not really in the city, but I'm 15 minutes away from the beach, very close to several markets, so I can get fresh everything. Um, and there's like, some community, there's some stores that I can walk to my area. Like I live across the street from a soccer field, so I can like exercise out there. But yeah, that's my most expensive thing is really rent, transportation, I don't drive,
Yeah.
so I will Uber or Bolt, which is a
Yes.
similar platform.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm spending maybe $300 a month there. My biggest
Uh-huh.
expenses is, my rent, and then my girls, they go to an international school. We're paying about $1,000 a month for them both to go to school. Um,
Yes.
that includes them getting picked up, their lunches, everything.
Oh.
The same, international school in Atlanta, AIS, is about $5,000 a month,
Mm.
anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 a month, for that same international baccalaureate education.
So I
So
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no. So I'll say that it's absolutely less. That's one of the things that we teach. So I'm doing a course now called Expat Expense,
Mhm.
and that we're going to kick that off Memorial Day weekend, where I'm really just, one of the big things about this move that has inspired me to like get on this side of the business is just the cost of living in America has gone up so much, that the way, I mean, I like I said, I was working six figures. My fiance, ex fiance at the time, was making six figures, so we lived really really well, but we
Mhm.
were spending over $10,000 a month,
Mhm.
easy, with that lifestyle with two children.
Mhm.
um yeah, I mean, I spend about 2,500 to $3,000 a month. I have a trainer come to my home 3 days a week. Um, if I'm traveling, if we're going to take a trip, then that obviously goes up. But like I also mentioned, I take 4 vacations a year solo,
Mhm.
and I take 4 with my girls
Mhm.
every year. So I like trips. That's
Yes.
one of my love languages. So, I mean, you can absolutely double to triple your income, in a country like Tanzania. And again, like I probably, and when I did that video, a lot of Tanzanians were like, "That's way too much.
Yeah,
Like
you're
you're
spending too
spending
much.
way
Yeah.
too much money." So
You're fine with it though, because you're like, listen, y'all don't know. You don't know what I had to spend in Atlanta to live not even as comfortably as I'm living here. It's hard to
exactly.
make that adjustment. Yeah. Hmm.
Exactly. So I don't necessarily like iron out all of the expenses, but I
Yeah.
speak a little bit more in detail about them, on that video. But yeah, absolutely. When I was back in the States, like I just couldn't fathom, like today, every Saturday I will go, and because I've just met a new guy that gets fish from the lake.
Huh.
So I wanted to like make a relationship with him before I have them delivered to my
Yeah.
home.
Mhm.
But I went and got 5 chickens and 5 massive tilapia. Like you can't even see how big they are because my
Yeah,
hands
the
are
screen
outside
is
the screen.
yeah.
For like $40. And the fish came fresh from the lake like yesterday, and
Mhm.
the chickens were slaughtered this morning.
Uh-huh.
um yeah, like, so groceries, I might spend $60 a week, $75 a week on the high end,
Mhm.
versus when I was in the US like a couple months ago, easily $300 a week.
Yeah.
And you're gonna forget some things.
Yeah.
You're gonna forget. You have to go back to the grocery store. There are certain things that we just don't do, like those $350 Target runs every other week that you might have. Like
Yeah.
I'm not doing that because Target is not here. I live a very minimal life
Uh,
here. So I'm not spending the money that I was spending on, say, the not Sam's Club, but the Costco runs or the Target runs or the Amazon orders, because you realize like you don't really need a lot of that stuff that
that's
you're
right.
purchasing.
That's right.
Um,
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah.
filling in. Yeah, I do that. So I've been back in the United States for less than a week. I've been to Target. Don't judge me. I love Target, and I spent $250. I don't know what I bought. I don't know. I went there and my phone was on 1%. And by the time I went to pull up my list, my phone was on 0%. So I didn't even have my list. How do you spend $250 when you don't even know what you're there for? I don't know, but I did it. Okay.
I
It's
know,
just,
I know. I've
just
been there. I wouldn't even let my kids come with me to Target. Like there was one time I was like, y'all just need to stay in the car. Okay. Like it's daylight. It was about 10 in the morning. It was actually, I was heading to the airport and I just wanted to get some beach
yeah.
towels. But I was like, y'all, can y'all just sit in the car? Just don't be loud. Don't bring any attention. We're about to get on this plane, but y'all cannot come in this Target.
Because $80 per person is the minimum fee to get in Target. 80 per person,
Correct.
even if you're just there to get some sunblock. I don't care. $80, please. So
Correct.
Charisma,
Yes.
Charisma is bopping around Central and South America right now with her son, and was just featured in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And thanks for the shout out,
Hey,
Charisma.
Charisma.
Hey, girl. Right. So, yes. So, Charisma is asking this because she wasn't here for the very beginning and because she is seriously interested. All right. So, yes, this $2,500 per month budget also includes the full-time woman, Dada, who helps you, who does the cooking and the cleaning and the child stuff, the nannying. Right. So, yes, Charisma, she's got the nanny. I can't remember what you told us per month
I'm
for
gonna
this.
tell. I'm actually just. I said under 200, but I'm just gonna give y'all the
Okay.
number
Okay.
because it's better that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
times.
Yes. So the answer is yes, and we'll get that number for you, Charisma. Yeah, Charisma
So the
wants to know
answer,
because she's seriously interested. Charisma,
and then
if you
she
get the
said
Atlanta
she
Journal
asked like,
Constitution,
how did
she'll check
I?
you.
Sorry,
Uh-huh.
she asked how did I find them. Um, what's really good is to ask for like recommendations from. I had someone that worked at a hotel. Why isn't this is not working for me right now? Sorry, I'm trying to do the conversion. Um, but yeah, or like a school, maybe going to a school and asking if one of the teachers need like extra money.
Oh,
I do all of the things rogue, honestly.
okay.
I don't
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. That's right. That makes sense. The teacher thing makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So for 6 days a week, somewhere from 8 hours a day, she gets paid $140, rounding up, $140 a month.
And you said that people said that that was too much. That is higher than the standard for that kind of help.
Yeah, the standard for that work is 40. That can't be right, but that's right. About $45 a month.
Do you do you is there some sort of resentment about Americans coming in and paying more and bringing up prices? Are we at this point yet in Tanzania, or is it too soon for that? We're at this point in some spots in Mexico, but not the cities. The big Mexico City is like whatever, but smaller towns in Mexico like San Miguel de Allende and like Lake Chapala are at that point where the Americans and Canadians have come in and prices are now higher as a result.
Mhm. So I had a situation where I was at dinner with some diasporans,
Uh-huh.
and the call to prayer is happening right now. So I
Okay,
don't know if you can hear it in the
a little bit.
background.
Just a little bit.
Um, but they were really coming for me when they asked me how much I paid. And these were just two Black women, both single mothers. One of the moms, she couldn't keep a dada. She had gone through 4 in 4 months.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, well, you're asking me to help you to ask my daughter if she knows anybody, but you can't keep one and you don't want to pay what I'm paying. So, and then the other woman, she was like, oh, but you can't do that because, you know, if another woman comes and can't afford, right? So, one, I operate from a place of abundance. I
Mm-hmm.
don't operate from a place of lack.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going to assume that the worst.
Yeah.
However, I asked her what she wanted to be paid,
Yes. Okay.
and she told me. And per day, what she's asking for is reasonable. Now, what happens is a lot of times when you're working with somebody for a month at a time, you can negotiate and say, okay, well, I'm just going to give you this for the month.
Mhm.
But I also recognize that she doesn't want to do this forever. She's a mom,
Mhm.
like she also has a business, a cleaning business and fumigation business.
Ah,
So I don't, I'm not here to make it so that she's struggling. Like, I'm not doing that. So I'm not going to put her in that situation.
mhm.
I don't feel like I'm giving her an
A
abundance of
lottery. This is
money,
not a lottery.
way over. Right, exactly. I mean, she's bomb. Like, my house stays clean.
Mhm.
She washes my sheets every 4 days. I mean, she irons my clothes. She cooks our food. She goes to the grocery for my children. I don't want to have somebody that is resentful because
That's
they
right.
see me living a certain way and they are struggling. Like, that's how people really turn on you, I think, at home.
Mm,
So
that's right.
I don't know if it's honestly, I feel like most of the women that I meet, Black women here, really struggle with like bringing somebody in full time. Like, it's not as common because we still are working through that unlearning.
Oh, okay.
um some people, they just have a dada come like once a week or twice a week.
Okay.
It's very rare. I haven't met many Black Americans that have somebody as full-time as I have.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, they won't have to worry about it with us with this audience. When they when these ladies get there, they're
Right.
ready. They're ready for it. Can can we talk about dating?
We
Okay,
can. Let's
because
do it. Let me
Ashley
make
made an
sure I
entire
pull
video
it.
on her channel where she talked about some of the down not so some of the things that you have to keep in mind. I'll say downsides, right? Some of the downsides of Tanzania, and one of the things that you said was that men there get married very early. There's not an abundance of single men in your age group. And I'm pretty sure that's what I understood. Is that
No,
what's a
that's
finding?
true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I've been sitting in front of my like window to get the light, and now all of a sudden the light is gone. I want to turn my light on, but it's okay.
You
You
still
can
look
see me
good, but if you
fine,
want to get up
right?
and turn it on, go
Okay.
ahead. I want you to feel like you look
Okay.
good.
Let me do.
You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. We're going to entertain ourselves over here.
Okay.
Charisma says, I loved my nanny in the DR. She cooked and house cleaned and was 5 days a week. Yes, I'm glad that you guys are embracing this, right?
Hmm.
It's easier to embrace when you leave the United States and it's just kind of commonplace. It's easier for it. And
Yes.
Charisma was in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution speaking about her bopping around with her son. And she had some very kind words for you, girl. So thank you for that, Charisma. Yeah.
You're the truth. You are the truth,
Thank you.
Stephanie. So you know this. Yes. As a graduate, an alumni of all of the challenges that you've ever created, you are the truth.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So dating. So I'm not dating in Tanzania. Specifically for the things that you talked about. So, very young people get married young. And I saw you talk about in one video how you like would research these statistics of divorce and I was like, that makes so much sense because it's necessary. I went on a couple dates here
Okay.
in Tanzania. I went out with a doctor. He
Okay.
was 10 years younger than me. He didn't
Okay.
necessarily look 10 years younger, but he was 10 years younger. And like another guy who's a businessman from Tanzania, travel back and forth. The younger guy straight up told me, he's like, I have a girlfriend, we'll probably get married, but I really like you. And I was like, okay, well, we can be friends. You're a doctor. If I need anything, like, it's great to be able to call a doctor, but I don't know what yeah, I'm not, I don't do that. Right? Like, I don't do that. And then the other gentleman, he straight up told me, well, after getting me onto the date,
Yeah.
I had to ask him, "Are you married?" And he tells me, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So there is, a really large Muslim population in this part of Tanzania.
Mhm.
Polygamy is allowed in their religion, and
Yeah.
many men kind of subscribe to that.
Mhm.
I'm not totally opposed to polygamy as a concept. I think that it can help in a lot of ways, a lot of societies, but I'm not really sure that it's done in the way that it's meant to be done,
Uh-huh.
so that it can be, like a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
So
Women
one of
don't
the
seem to
things that I
benefit,
did right.
right?
Hmm?
Women don't seem to benefit from it. Only the men, from what from my minimal understanding.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I I think it's very dynamic, right? Like there are a lot of different reasons
Yeah.
for it. Um, and depending on the type of woman, like it can work for you. I don't know. I've never done it, but I wasn't interested in it the way he was propositioning it to me,
Yeah.
because I was like, no, that's not going to work for me.
Yes.
Um, I also haven't really been in a lot of the circles, but I will say some of the biggest challenges here in Tanzania are really like the socioeconomic gap,
Uh-huh.
as an American versus a Tanzanian.
Mhm.
And, that's something that I think a lot of diasporan women talk about.
Yeah.
Like coming here, you're likely going to meet a man who makes way less than you, or may have not traveled or have like the intellectual experience that you have had.
That's right.
Um, I didn't have those problems in South Africa, like
Okay.
at all. At all. I met fantastic single men that were divorced, that were professional, that were international businessmen. Um, yeah, that wanted to take me out, that were very intentional. So I will say a lot of my friends that move here, they move here with a partner. Some of them do end up like, dating and meeting somebody.
Uh-huh.
I'm all for it. I personally just haven't, from my experience, it just hasn't been something that I really wanted to invest in
Yeah.
here in Tanzania, but totally different in South Africa. It's a lot more similar to, just like the Western American way,
Mhm.
but you still have the cultural elements of people very wanting to do family, centering around family,
Mhm.
um, but just that global professional vibe,
Mhm.
like, is is it's relatable in parts of South Africa, like Johannesburg.
I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, good. So how often do you, because of your business, are you bopping back and forth to Johannesburg?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we'll likely end up there full
Ah,
time.
okay.
Yeah, like Tanzania is great. I love it here. But just from a lifestyle
Mm.
perspective overall,
Mhm.
like I appreciate more things about South Africa,
Mm.
as a long term decision
Okay.
than Tanzania. But I love it here. Like
Okay.
it's been so good to me. But I'll probably, yeah, for the business we're bopping back and forth.
Okay. And South Africa is closer to Atlanta pricing, right? South Africa is still less than a big city in the US, but I think it's closer to Atlanta
Yeah,
pricing. Cl- I don't, not
I
not
don't
maybe
think
not your Atlanta
so.
pricing, maybe, but like
Right? Why not? I mean, I still felt like transportation in South Africa was
yes.
comparable.
Yes.
Food prices were comparable. Like one of the main things I was missing in Tanzania was just like international like dining experiences. Like there a
Ah,
couple of Italians, like there's just not the variety
right.
of dining that you'd be used to from like a world class city like a Johannesburg or Cape Town.
That's right.
But no, I mean the places that I'm looking at, I want to go into a high security like social building.
Hmm.
So for a two bedroom, like I won't be in a big house.
Right.
Um, but a 2 bedroom, like fully serviced, furnished, like, you can get that for $1,000 a month,
Okay.
with everything included. I feel like it was comparable for the infrastructure differences and like the
Mhm.
lifestyle, long term lifestyle. Johannesburg is just like everything.
Yes. It's
So yeah.
alive. That's
And
what I said.
financially,
Johannesburg is
yeah.
alive. Yeah. And
You can, I mean, you can ball, like you can spend a lot of money
yeah.
in Johannesburg. I think I don't spend a lot of money here because I don't have the things that I would spend a lot of money on, like
Yeah.
spas and shopping and dining. Um, so yeah, but like housing, food, I feel like it's pretty comparable
Okay,
to
okay,
Tanzania.
good. I do remember Uber being very cheap and very inexpensive in
Mhm.
South Africa too. Getting around was very inexpensive too. That's okay, good. All right, so dating wise, I think if you want to go somewhere and your plan is to do some dating or to partner, like settle down, marry. I think it's important to look at some things. And if I'm 48, so I saw the comment, you look like you're 25. I agree. I've given up trying to guess how
Oh,
old black women are. I only know Ashley is a little older because she's a mom. But other than that, I knew she wasn't, I didn't think she was 25, but you could pass for 25. Right. I've
it
given
might
up
be the
guessing.
braids. I'm 37.
I've given up
Yeah, I'm
guessing.
37.
Yeah, so, but I think it is important to look at, are there men in my age group available? Either because men get married later, which is a thing in the US and the UK, right? Or because they have divorce, which is a thing in all of Europe. All Europe, they're like, yes, we're down for divorce. Yes, marriage only needs to last a few years and then we're moving on. In some places, they get married very early and they never divorce, like a Mexico, right?
Hmm.
So in Mexico, if
Hmm.
you're my age and you want to date somebody, you're going to have to find a foreigner, right? This is one of the things that South Africa does well. South Africa has South Africans and they have foreigners. So you're going to find
Hmm.
single men in South Africa. South African men, I want to say this, South African men are not tall men, but the foreigners are. Nigerians in South Africa are very tall. You can spot them.
It's true.
That they're easy to spot. They're tall and
It's
they're available.
true.
Yeah, and I'm also glad that you brought up the economic disparity. So men travel and date much easier because typically they don't really care about the woman's financial status, right? They don't really care if if he's gonna have to support her whole family, he gonna have to support her whole family, and that's that. That's not generally
Hmm.
the way women look at things when they go abroad. And so it is important to see, like, where are the men who have dollars? I made a video on it. It was fun and funny,
Dollars,
but
tell us.
seriously, where are the rich men? Where are they? I think that if this is a priority to you, it's okay to say that this is a priority to you. And then act like it, right? Pick places where you're going to have a better chance. So going to South Africa
Yeah.
is a wonderful, wonderful move for you. Going back and forth, even wonderful.
Thank you. Strategically in there. To your point, like
Yes.
that was very important. It wasn't important when we first got here because
Hmm.
I was going through just like restorative process, healing, just from being burnt out at work and then, coming out of a relationship that didn't work out. That was about 6 years.
Hmm.
So that wasn't really on my list, but I did date to as a part of that process to make sure, like intentionally, to just get myself out there. But yeah, I quickly was like, okay, there are a couple steps to this. For me, this expat life is like I have to build a business, and I want to do something that is creating impact,
Yeah.
in different ways. And part of that is trying my hand in the coffee business here. But long term, a lifestyle that I want involves a partner, involves somebody that can travel the world, that can have intellectual conversations, that values family and operates in that value system.
Yes.
So um, that's what I was able to find in South Africa. So yeah, I was really intentional about that.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I know someone in South Africa, and I'm pretty sure she used a matchmaker, which I'm not
Mm,
above if I had the money to pay for
me
a
neither.
matchmaker, or if somebody wants to put money together to give me a matchmaker. I'm not above it, and I think South Africa is a great choice for dating for Black women. Yeah, we've talked about that before. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. Good. All right. So we've talked dating. We've talked house support. We've talked ease. We've talked business, running a business. We've talked cost of living. Thank you for asking that question, 'cause I don't know why I forgot to ask it. Because I already knew the answer, but I was shocked by the 550 rent. I knew that I saw your video, right? So I knew that you were there
Hmm.
on $2,500 a month, but I didn't know the 550 was for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath house. Did you show the
Yeah, and
house
it
in
went
the
up.
video? That's that's
I
absolutely
didn't. I didn't show it because we're still here and I didn't
that's
really feel
fine.
comfortable doing
No,
that.
that's
But
fine.
I will once we leave. But it actually went up. I was originally paying 475. That was what I negotiated
Wow.
for my first 6 months. Yeah.
All
And
right.
then after that, it's gone up to the 515 or whatever.
That's amazing. And do you rent out your guest house?
It's
Okay.
empty.
I will give you my dates for when I will be.
Okay.
I will send you my dates for when I will be arriving. Thanks.
Yes, I would love that. I would love that.
All right. But do you feel like there's healthcare? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. That's why I
Somebody
always
did
ask.
ask about healthcare.
Yes.
Yes. So I don't have insurance. Healthcare is very inexpensive here and easily accessible. They have a plethora of hospitals, public, private. Um, they even have something called they're like ultra private hospitals. Like,
Okay.
because they have the public hospital, and they have the hospital where all of the expats go to, but then they have these like privately owned kind of clinics where you can pretty much do everything around testing, anything that's lab related.
Okay.
The biggest medical experience that we had was my daughter having a UTI,
Oh.
and between the visit, we went to one of these hospitals that's privately owned, an emergency room visit, walked in, got her test, her prescription or antibiotic. We were in and out in less than 2 hours,
Mhm.
probably right at an hour. It was a little over an hour, and
Okay.
I
Wait,
spent
wait.
$27.
Okay. Okay. I was going to tell people in the chat
Sorry.
how to guess. Okay. Okay. I was going to
Oh,
I was going to guess 40 bucks. 40 bucks.
it
27.
was 27. Yeah, it was $27 for her test, for the doctor's visit, and for the like antibiotic they gave her, and like a stool softener because she
Mhm.
also was like constipated,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and an emergency room visit. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So Americans coming
so
there can afford most healthcare out of pocket. So you're going to get insurance for the big things. You're
mhm.
um, Adelia, and I know Adelia, who is Picky Girl Travels, has a full video on insurance for expats, right? So get insurance for the big things, but a lot of things you're going to just cover out of pocket. It's just going to be easier for you, right? I'm going to put Adelia's
Yeah.
name here, Picky Girl Travels. You will see her entire video on insurance for expats, right? She's paying, I'll spoil some of it. I think she's paying $1,200 a year, excuse me, $1,200 a year for her private insurance in Mexico. But she has a whole video on private insurance. So you get your private insurance to cover the big stuff, and a lot of things in a lot of the world is really affordable out of pocket. You just pay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. On my way, one of my trips to South Africa, I was sitting next to a man from Gabon
Oh,
who was going to South Africa for like spinal surgery. And he
oh,
did some type of surgery that was like an outpatient surgery. And he had already had his visit to South Africa, business guy.
mhm,
And he was like, yeah, it's out of pocket. It's not expensive, you
mhm,
know?
mhm,
So, I mean, we have medical insurance,
mhm.
but we don't use it
Yeah.
here. And also just a lot of the things like, I know that a lot what 2020 taught us and showed us was just a lot of these pre-existing conditions. A lot of those things, I don't want to say go away, but you are relieved of a lot of the things that we struggle with in the West, like high blood pressure, diabetes. Me myself, I mean, I lost like I gained so much weight being back in the US, but being back a month and some change, I was able to lose like 12 pounds.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so a lot of just the health ailments that you're dealing with, and I'm not going to say all because I know there are a lot of things that we all deal with, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's if you are a fairly healthy person, like it's not something that you think about often. I myself personally have not had to go to. Did I go to the doctor? No, no. I also have my friend that's a doctor, so like anytime anything
Yes.
weird happens, I just call him and I'm like, hey,
That's
like
right.
this is going on. What's this? I had a bite on my face. I didn't know what it was. My whole face was numb.
Ooh.
And he was like, oh, it was a spider bite.
Mm.
You'll be fine. You don't need to worry about it.
Mhm.
So, you know,
That
that
date paid for
helps.
that date paid off then. It paid off.
Correct.
Good. Yeah. All right. So I blocked him. I saw him. I blocked it. It's a bot. It's not a person. That's a bot. So we've talked to a couple of other women about how going out of the country and having less stress and eating real food changed their health, right? Halana, who's now in Rwanda, talked about that, right? A combination of eating good, healthy, fresh food and not having stress, like not living your whole life in fight or flight mode, can change your health. Can change your health, right? Can change your body. Can change your health. Absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
that's something that even I experience. Just going to like Mexico, where I eat the same. I still eat, junk food in Mexico, but it contract. I am smaller, even if I weigh the same. I contract in Mexico, and when I come back to the U.S. I expand. It's just what's in the food. It's what our food is eating. It's doing things to
Mm-hmm.
my body. And then when I go to
Mm-hmm.
other places where our food is actually eating food, right? Because I eat meat, where the animals eat real food, I do better. So, yeah, that is another benefit that you get from these places. Another way to embrace ease, right? Go to a place where they eat
Yep.
real food and eat real food. Yeah. Okay.
I'm in the comments looking at questions. Lee says, are there beauty shops for petty, mani, and fills? Yes, there are. But you can have somebody come to your house. So I have someone come to my home every other week, every Wednesday, for pedicure and manicure for myself and my daughter.
Oh,
And we pay $18 for that
oh,
service.
that's cute. You and your daughter. That's cute.
Yeah,
And
so we pay for him to come to our house. Yeah, to come do everything. And each manicure and pedicure is a 3 hour.
uh-huh.
Like, when you go to the spot in Atlanta, like you're in and out in an hour. No,
Mhm,
it's a 3 hours for him to do my feet and my hands.
mhm,
And yeah,
mhm.
so it's available.
Another important question, how's the internet?
So I think the internet's great. I don't know if I've been breaking up, but I'm on our internet now. We stream everything. So we don't pay for satellite dish here, but
Mhm,
we have a full TV we stream. We have 2 laptops, iPads, cell phones. It's great. And the modem is wireless, so I can take it anywhere. I do pay a little bit more just being in the suburb of where I am based on like the service providers that were able to give me that level of internet.
mhm.
Comparable to what most people pay, it's probably more expensive. I pay about $100 a month
Okay.
for internet, but it's unlimited, which is rare in Africa. A lot of times you have to like load up your data, but for what I have, I pay for unlimited amount of data for the month, and it's $100.
That's good. I think so I was in South Africa years ago and I've been checked on this. Okay. So I've said many a time in many a video that the internet in South Africa was very slow and very expensive. And I've been informed that it's much faster and less expensive now too. So for South Africa as well, you can get good internet on less. It's not like it was when I was there back in 2017, right? That there have been much better improvements. Now, electricity is another thing. There are times in South Africa where there are rolling blackouts. How's your electricity in Tanzania?
So there are blackouts at certain parts of the month. Um, the water, my water and my electricity are connected. So if the electricity goes out, the water goes out. Kind of. There, in our downstairs bedroom, we can get water to come out of one of the faucets there. So
Okay.
it's just kind of something you get used to. But I can still work because my modem is wireless, so it's
Okay.
not connected to power, and it has a battery in it.
Good.
So I think the longest that I've been without power since I've been back is maybe like 6 hours. But that's kind of where you go out and you go on about the day. Towards the end of the month, there are more I've noticed in my area. Um,
Okay.
and a couple of times at night they'll go out, but they'll come right back on.
Okay.
So it's not it's not days at a time.
Yes.
It may be for a few hours, and it's typically around the same period each month. And it's something that I've gotten used to.
Okay.
Honestly, I laugh because I'm like, okay, well, I know how to bathe if I need to. I know how to cook if I need to, and the power is out. But to me, it's a trade-off that I've been okay with.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, I'm going to ask if you can answer Auntie Trey's question about safety, and I'm going to disappear from the screen while I go get my charger, but I can hear you. So Auntie Trey wants to know about safety.
Okay.
Auntie Trey, can you tell us in the chat where you're from? I always ask people this question, right? Tell me where you live, because you probably live in a much less safe place than these places that women are moving
I
to.
love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And not because, not to be defensive, right? Safety, Dar es Salaam is one of the safest countries in the world. Dar es Salaam is translated, and translation means city of peace, place of peace. And so here it is very common to see children walking by themselves from school or by themselves to a store. um, Very safe. I don't hear, I mean, gun ownership is not even really a thing. You have to have a certain level of financial status and success to even own a gun. And the checks and balances of having one is very rigid. Um, and you're not even allowed to take them off of your property.
Yeah.
So that, as far as gun ownership. But I've never had anything, happen to me where I felt unsafe. A lot of that has just really been unlearning. Like when we were back in Atlanta, I mean, we were staying in really nice neighborhoods, and no lie, at least 2 nights out of the week after 10 o'clock, you're going to hear some gunshots,
Yeah.
like inevitably. Right. So, um, yeah, you don't have to worry. I mean, certain things that we're dealing with, violence, shootings, like that is just not even up for a question in Tanzania. I will say Johannesburg gets a really bad rap for being so unsafe. Um, and again, I don't necessarily I know that there is crime there. It's definitely more crime than here in Tanzania. It's more of a metropolitan city.
Yeah.
But not at all in the ways in which we experience them in America.
Mhm.
So I feel very safe. My children can go outside and play at any time of day,
Yeah.
regardless, and I don't have to worry about keeping my eyes on them. My daughter can go on her own to the store down the street or go on her own. I can put her in a bajaji, a car, and send her to her friend's house or to the
Yeah.
hair salon. And I know she's going to get there. Like, yeah, I feel very safe. In fact, so much so that when I am now back in the US, like that's one of the hardest things for me is I feel so unsafe. Um, but it's not an issue for me. It is very safe here.
That's right. Most of us in the U.S. live in places where you're when the places that you want to move to abroad are by default just automatically going to be safer for you, right? Safer for you in your
Yep.
everyday life. As long as you're not out here trying to join gangs and cartels or do business with gangs and cartels, you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
safer outside of your home city. Once you leave your home city, you're automatically just going to be safer. That's just the world. That's just the country that we live in,
Yeah.
and that's the way the rest of the world operates, right? Not saying that aren't unsafe places, but those aren't the places you're looking to go to anyway, right? And the neighborhoods that you're looking to go.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
there's a TV show about Japan where you send kids, they start sending their kids to the store alone at like 3 in Japan. There is a different sense of community in different parts of the world, right? And this is what Ashley started off telling us about how out
Yeah.
in the world everyone is responsible for everyone in Tanzania, right? And so yeah,
Yeah.
there is a different way that families and children get to operate and get to be free. So I was raised in the 80s where we left the house and we didn't see our family until the end of the day, right? We were latchkey kids. We got home from school and then we were out the door and nobody saw us, and no grown-ups had any control over us until the day was over. There are places where kids still get to live like that.
Yeah.
Because there is a community. There is a sense that we are part of a community. Individualism is very American. The idea that I
Yeah.
and mine are more important than you and yours, that's a very American concept. I haven't watched that TV show, but there's a TV show called something about how in
Mm-hmm.
Japan, in Japan, it might be Japan and Korea, they start sending kids to the store at 3, right? Like, this is your first alone mission. Go do this. And
Yeah.
that's by the
And mine
time.
is 11. So I'm trying to get her. Yeah, she goes to the market with our daughter so that she can understand prices and she can learn the language better. And it's hard, that's one of the things that is hard to share with family because they get like, they think there's something wrong with me
Yeah.
in making that decision, where in reality, the problem is in the society in which you're
Yes.
living in, where you don't feel safe for your children to go to be out of your sight for, I mean, and that's just what we've just been taught that that's okay and that's normal. And because we know that these things are happening to our children, we impose our fear on them because we're in a society that is allowing it, right? So I made the choice to say, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to be this type of parent that is unable to allow my children to be children.
Mhm.
I'm going to be in an area. I'm gonna live in a country where I don't have these worries. I don't have these concerns.
That's right.
So
That's the
yeah,
point. That's the point. Move to a place where you don't have to worry about that all the time. We had a question at Exodus Summit one year. Can I take my gun to Mexico? Right? Let's create a life where we don't need a gun to feel safe. Let's go to a place where
yep,
you don't need that. And these are places that you can live a full life and not have safety be your number one priority. Just like Ashley already said,
yep,
healthcare isn't her number one priority. It's not her top concern about things because she's healthy, right? She just needs like healthcare, basic healthcare, but it doesn't have to be the top priority. Safety doesn't have to be your top priority when you're in a safe place, right? Get out of an unsafe place and you will stop being concerned about safety. I promise. It's normal. It's okay, right? You can walk around the street as a single person or as you and your kid or your kid and not have to be fearful. Move to a place where you don't have to feel that.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, it's called Old Enough. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of talk about it. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen that, right? I've seen that. I've been to Japan. I've been to Asia where kids are just, out. They're just out here, out there living, out there thriving. All right. Okay. All right. My dad is out here doing things. So you're going to hear some noise. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it. He's saying it's time to wrap it up. He held off as long as he could. He held off as long.
Thanks, Dad.
I don't know if that was the weed whacker or what? I don't know what he's doing. It's Saturday, and it's the first day that hasn't been freezing. Like it's warmer than it's been here in Delaware, exotic Dover, Delaware. You don't have to worry about that anymore, Ashley. But we haven't had the best weather.
No.
What is it for you guys? Just every day 90 degrees?
Every day. But
Mhm.
it's been nice being like high 70s. There's been an overcast. So here, when there's an overcast, that's nice weather. That's like the favorite weather because it's not so hot.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we actually were in Delaware for a
Oh,
minute, like a
huh.
month and a half staying in Bethany Bay.
Ah,
We were in Connecticut. It was too cold. I didn't want to go back to Atlanta. And, but yeah, when we came back, so we came literally from the snow and we're here and it was like 90 degrees,
yeah.
which I'll take. We were in the sun every day.
Ease. That's right. That's right. Staying away from cold weather is ease. That's nice. I hope you enjoyed Bethany Beach. It's a cute little beach town. I hope you liked
It
it.
was cute and it was off season, so it was inexpensive for like I was just shocked at we did a little like East Coast tour and I was just like, it's just so expensive to be outside. Where can we go? And it was cute.
Mhm.
There was no parking fees because it was off season. The grocery stores were stocked.
Mhm.
It was cute. I really
Good.
enjoyed it. It was cute little. It was safe. Like
Yeah.
it was like I was struggling honestly with being in back in Atlanta with all of the violence. Then we went to New York to see family.
Mhm.
Then I was in Connecticut. I was just like, this is not my life anymore. I can't do this. So I need to be by the nature, which was going by the ocean
Mhm.
and not hearing things like sirens and
Mhm.
things every day.
That
So that's why we hung out in Bethany Bay for the little
that's
bit of time.
good. That change, it happens to you, and then you come back to the U.S. and you're like, I can't believe I used to live like this. Like, I can't believe I
Mhm.
used to always feel this feeling. For me, it's not so in Delaware. It's not in Dover anyway. It's not the gunshots. In Wilmington, it was gunshots, but in Dover, it's not the gunshots. It's the interacting with white people. I'm like, I can't believe I used to do this all the time. I can't believe I used to hear people making these comments all day, and I used to have people, like it's the stores really for me because I love to shop and I love to go to stores, and I can't stand the way white people treat me in stores. And I'm like, I
Mhm.
can't believe I used to live like this. But once you leave, you don't want to pull it back. That's why it's hard to take a sabbatical and return. It's most likely after the secret is after a sabbatical, you're not coming back. You're going to find a way to make this a permanent move for you, a permanent change.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. Because you just learn a different way of life. You recognize that the way you've been living is one way, is
Hmm.
not the only way.
That's right.
And there are so many other options that we have. And so that's why I'm so happy that you had me on
Thanks.
because I know, like you mentioned, you don't necessarily talk a lot about Africa specifically, and being here and meeting other women from all over the world that have come back to Africa for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Um, there's just so many opportunities here, but also just a level of ease for as a mother specifically, but as a Black woman that you can really like bring into your life,
Yeah.
and it's affordable and just reconnecting. I mean, I think there's something really valuable for me in that healing experience, that healing journey.
Yes.
When I was in therapy and I did a little brainstorm session, it was like I came to a conclusion that my feeling unworthy stemmed from the racism in America.
Yeah.
Like, as long as I work and operate in this system, I will never be able to, they will never see me, right? And I'm in their system. I now adopt a different way of thinking.
Mhm.
Like internally, you can identify the peace you need in your life. You can find that from within. It takes a lot of work. Um, but I just recognize that, wow, like I'm living in a place that is going to continue to ignite this anxiety
Yeah.
and this less feeling of less than. That's just what it is. That's just where I am.
That's it.
And if I can't expect them to change, if I'm not going to be willing to make a change.
That's right.
And so that was what it was for me. It was like, if I've got an option to do something different, then I'm going to take that into my hands and take action on that option. So
And didn't
that's
you
what we
do
did.
it? Yes, didn't you do it? Hold on, hold on. This dude, I don't know. How is this possible that he has that many? This bot. Okay, didn't you do it? Okay, so register for Ashley's course, The Expat Expense, The Ultimate Financial Blueprint to Living Abroad. The link is here in the chat, and I will put it in the description immediately as soon as we're done. Okay, so if you're watching the replay, it's there. Okay, register for her workshop here. This is for people who want to expat to anywhere, not only to Tanzania, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes. This is for anybody that wants to expat anywhere to really understand the cost. That's one of the biggest questions that I get asked is how much does it cost? How much do you need before you leave? So I work with people to identify what their target number is. Like, what does that number look like? We go through understanding first, in the beginning of the course is really understanding your relationship with money. Where did you learn your relationship with money?
Yes.
Where did you learn the things about, I need this amount to feel safe or secure? And then diving into your expenses and what you're actually spending and what that would look like in your country of choice abroad. And then another one of the things that is not often talked about, really creating a financial folder, a digital financial folder in the event that something does happen, in the event of a death or disability. What do you want to see happening abroad? And so as a mom, it is just financially and morally responsible for me to have those things in place.
That's right.
And as any parent, like if something happens to me over here, what do I want to see happen to myself and what do I want for my children? And creating that digital folder so that you can have access to that, your children can have access to that, and anybody else in your family that you want to have access to that. So that's something that we added, that I was really moved to do, because when I talked to a lot of my clients, that was just not something that they were thinking about. And I don't necessarily jump to the worst case scenario, but having my children taken care of in the event that something does happen to me, whether it's now or, in 80 years, feels good to do. So so that's
pressure
what
off.
we do in the course. Yeah, and we do some group conversations about money, which I think is also a very important thing for us to do, not only now, but as Black women, talk about what we're making and what we're spending and how we're living, so that we can share tips and we can learn from each other, the things that we weren't necessarily taught. So I would love to have you. We're actually launching the course today with Stephanie. So anybody that registers within the week of the video going live will receive $100 off. So it'll be $89 for a 3-day course. We're doing it during Memorial Day weekend next month.
Okay.
And then after that, the price goes up to $189. But it is definitely a valuable tool that has helped so many people and has also just helped me in being able to share my financial journey to be able to get to a place of confidence to make this type of lifestyle choice. So,
wonderful. Yeah. This type of support will change your life, right? Having the numbers, the numbers, knowing the number, what I need to move abroad, what I need to live abroad, what I need to make sure that my children are cared for, that is a life-changing help. That support is life-changing. So I'm excited for you guys to get an opportunity to work with Ashley this way. Okay. Now, do you not want me to share the book a call?
You can. No, please. There are a lot of questions that people ask. So you can totally book a call with me.
Okay.
If you have any other questions, like, just that we didn't talk about. The course is specifically for finances, and we do some things in there as well that are like just kind of community building.
Okay.
And then the one-on-ones just give people an opportunity to ask me questions that I don't necessarily talk about online. For mothers, I do think it's so important to have, a clear understanding of what your children's father wants, a clear understanding of whether or not they are favorable or not, so that you can get your ducks in a row. those are things that I guess at some point I'll get more comfortable sharing. I'm just kind of coming out of an experience with my girl's dad, who was at
Okay.
one point really supportive, and then that changed. And so we had to make adjustments. But because things are always working out in my favor and I come and I live in abundance,
Yes.
it worked out. It worked out for us. But there are just a lot of things that I like to help women with one-on-one, specifically families and understanding custodial arrangements and legal things for them to be able to travel with children, and just helping them like, okay, this is what you need to do. This is how you can overcome that obstacle, or stop talking to your family. Stop talking to your mom or your ex-husband. Like, if you don't have to talk to them, if they are not in charge of your passport and your bank account, like, do the work, take the action, and then communicate. Because oftentimes our family and friends, like, they love us and they want to share their concern from a place of love, but oftentimes it is just something that they're sharing out of fear, because they, for whatever reason, don't think it's something that they could do, or don't understand your choice.
That's right.
And for me, this has been not only a personal choice, but also a spiritual choice. And in that, I had to recognize that my vision was for me. It wasn't for everyone. So everyone wasn't going to understand. And,
Yes.
I like to share. This is the one thing that I've learned I like to talk about a lot. And so if it can add value to someone else in making their decision to move abroad, to take a sabbatical, to travel with their children, I'm all for sharing and talking about my experience. So.
All right. So the book a call link is also in the description, or will be. It's in just a minute. And then Ashley's YouTube channel is Ashley in Africa, Africa with a K. Okay. So make sure that you have subscribed to her channel so that you can keep up with her and what's happening in her life with her and her daughters in Tanzania and bopping to Johannesburg, and her business. Also, right? That's the way that we can support her business. Her channel's monetized, so watching her videos does support her business as well. All right. So these are the ways that we can follow up or work with Ashley or keep in touch with Ashley in the future. Okay, friends? Okay. All right. We did it. All right. Thank you, Ashley. This was wonderful. Thank you for bringing the Ease Talk to East Africa. Okay. Because I've been, like I said, I don't know. I didn't think it was possible so thank you for explaining to us how we can have a life of ease in East Africa, how it doesn't have to be work focused. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Very much. And
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
letting me come and share and talk this talk. And yeah, it's such a pleasure. You are such a brilliant light for so many people, and you have inspired so many women. You share your gifts with us. I personally have benefited from just listening to you and your ministry of sharing and helping Black women to not only tell their story, but to do so in a way that is unapologetic. Yes. And can also help them enterprise. Yeah. So I'm just so grateful for you. This is definitely a full circle moment. Yeah.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks, sis.
My pleasure. Thank you, sis. Okay, so I'm gonna send you my dates for when I'll be. Let me book a flight to Tanzania. I'll holler at you. Okay. All right. Thanks, friends. Thank you guys for watching and for sharing and for communicating and answering each other's questions in the chat and for asking good questions to Ashley today. Thank you all, guys. And thank you for your time, Ashley. I did not tell you it's going to be 2 hours and change, but thank you very much for that. Okay.
It's okay. Awesome.
All right. Everybody have a good afternoon and have a good night, Ashley. Bye, guys.
Bye.